Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 Mocks of the Week episode. Normally we do this on Sundays, but there was Star Wars days at Legoland, so our hands were pretty tied up with that. And then Mike, Ramon, my brother, and I had a very long couple of days of moving to a new studio. I don't know if we've announced that yet. Anyways, this is the first video actually where I'm recording in the new space. All right, and I'm not going to say anything more about it because I know Mike is working on a really fun episode to show off the move and everything, so you guys will see more about what the new studio looks like and the whole process later. This is the Top 10 Mocks of the Week episode where we show the coolest mocks, the coolest LEGO builds that we saw people making throughout the week, and we would like to show them off to you guys. Remember, if you have a mock of your own and want to show it off at the end of the episode, the BrickVault Fan MOCs Gmail is in the description below, and let's jump right in. So the first build in the lineup comes from Dr. Zarkow called Back in the Swamp. This feels very Dungeons and Dragons-esque, or some type of action-adventure scenario where we have a cast or a crew of very interesting and different types of characters all trudging through some type of fantasy land. You can see ruins sticking out from what is probably used to be an old city that has been slowly but surely reclaimed by nature. The building details of the vines growing up and around the structures look really fun, and the murkiness of the swamp is definitely exemplified by using the dark green instead of any type of blue or transparent pieces. I think the cattails sticking up out of the water are fun, and the dragonflies look good. There's also a separate picture showing how you build those in case you wanted to make a larger build for a dragonfly. Remember, all of the builders' flickers are linked in the description below if you want to check them out during or after this video. I highly recommend that you do so. This next build comes from Ted Andes, and it's called Platypus. My guess is that the ship looks somewhat kind of like a platypus. It's got that thin, flat, wide bill, very much like a duck bill or a platypus bill. And then the rest of the shape of this plane has kind of just, it's all a bit different and a little bit strange, which too is very reminiscent of what a platypus is like, considering it has so many different little aspects of its body kind of resembling different types of creatures. Either way, it's a really fun looking ship. I highly recommend you check out Ted Andy's Flickr. And here is another fantasy style build. This is from Roanoke Handybuck called Queer Lodgings. Beorn was probably my favorite of the characters from any of the Tolkien series. He is just really fun. He's kind of half man, half bear, and he ends up helping out the traveling group through Middle Earth when they needed it most. This is a depiction of what his house looks like. It's very overgrown. There's moss pretty much growing on and around the entire structure, and builds like this are always a lot of fun to look at. Just seeing the tiny fun nature details speckled in and throughout the entire setting. Personally, I think the build for the trees is really fun. I want to make a forest around our Lego city at some point, and I'm definitely going to be taking notes for later. And then this is a really fun build. I like this. This comes from Lego 7. This is Lavaria's Ultimate Mech. And now you might recognize what this larger brick-built figure is, and it looks very much like the ultimate figure of Lavaria that came out for Nex Knights. I feel like this one in particular did not sell very well at all. I remember when they were actually giving out these Lavaria Ultimate figure packs as sort of an extra gift with purchase because they just simply were not selling. But dang, this really looks good as a much larger brick-built figure. Lego 7 managed to get some really fun dynamic poses, like this creature, or Lavaria I suppose, looks super animated and honestly pretty creepy as well. This is actually a really fun fantasy character. Next up, Pat Lacroix has changed up the look of the Caterham with a massive mod. He's calling it the Rally mod, so we have two covered cockpit seats or windscreens that go over both the navigator and the driver. Really fun build for wheel wells in the back and a much larger spoiler. You can see that this build style is almost the same. I'm sure that he copied or used very similar dimensions from what we got out of the Caterham Ideas set, and then just played around with his own colors, and of course really modded this thing for what looks like off-roading, which is awesome. Well, of course, it's a rally car. Anyways, this is really kind of a fun adaptation from also a really fun set. And then the next build here plays on a fun sort of little obsession that I've seen a lot of builders mess around with, and that is the food truck. This came from Sven Franek, and this is the Popsicle Express. Great build for a popsicle right on the rooftop. That is such a good one, and it feels like this build is probably a little bit bigger than minifig. It feels a bit tall and maybe a little bit wide, but the extra size goes to add a ton of extra detail. When looking at the Popsicle Express itself, it almost feels like this is a converted school bus or something. It really does look like it is a bus and not necessarily one of those food trucks or roach coaches or something like that. And then even outside of the vehicle itself, we have some really fun builds for chairs and that awesome sort of sherbet colored umbrella. Now this next build might actually be my favorite one from the last week. This came from Red 2 and it's called Dispatch Bike. Motorbikes, I think, are some of the most fun vehicles to put together, and I haven't seen somebody approach a motorcycle in Lego like this maybe ever, just in terms of it being put together completely from system bricks, and then of course having it completely smoothed over. That snotting technique is absolutely on point here, and it was also a very interesting stylistic choice to make this completely smoothed over but also have a bunch of layers that make up that front gas tank, and you can see a similar building style applied to the back where we have the luggage hanging from either side. There's also a sidecar extra build, and then sticking with this fun sort of layered smooth effect, we have a driver to go along with it. All in all, the color combination and build style really does kind of take you to a different era, and I have a feeling this is going to be on my top 10 favorite motorcycle builds of 2018. Okay, moving on to our next builder. This is Flambeau 14, and what we have here is the Vinnytsia Water Tower. Having looked through the Flickr of this particular builder, we have a fun kind of style of almost MIDI style buildings. These can definitely fit minifigures, but they're kind of built in a somewhat smaller, more compact, and highly detailed manner. This water tower looks like it was created with the spare parts of the town hall modular building, and according to the builder, this is a tower that actually exists in a town in Ukraine built back in 1912. It does have sort of a realistic feel here, and in general, this guy just has a very fun approach to creating smaller structures. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this next build is absolutely nostalgic for me, but it's amazing too. It really does look awesome. This came from Joshua Brooks, and it's called Rock versus Cannon. Not only is the build for the tank really good, there's a lot of great details on it and around it creating the scene, but the scene itself comes from one of my favorite movies, or at least favorite movie franchises, which is Indiana Jones, and this specifically is from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Harrison Ford takes on pretty much an entire German brigade with a tank, and all he's got is a horse and a pistol and a whip. But my only criticism would be that I think The Rock was somewhat tan in this scene, and to have titled it Rock versus Cannon, the Rock color shouldn't exactly match the color of the cannon. Wow, did I just critique this build? This thing's absolutely amazing. So much better than I could have put together myself. Anyways, let's move on to the very last one of the week, and I have not shown a Caesarsaurus build off in a while, but this guy is the master of interiors, and probably this next build here, this one showing you right now, the Enchantments, Potion, and Magic build, is my favorite one so far. Similar to how the Popsicle Express was upscaled just a little bit above minifigure scale, Caesarsaurus really does build in a way that adds as much detail as you could possibly fit in here. There's a lot of great things to notice. I like the archway over the fireplace for the cauldron. The table legs kind of splay out a little bit wider towards the bottom. That's really fun. The broomstick is made up of some rifle pieces attached to each other, and then a rubber band wraps around what I think might be torn sail pieces of cloth. It's just one of those builds where if you check out all the details and you look really close, you're going to notice something else that's really fun and interesting. And in general, this is just a build style that has a lot of really fun, clever connections where you see a lot of great little details the closer you look. With that, that is all of the top 10 mocks of the week. Very quickly, this is Moko's latest robot octopus build. It's awesome. I'm not even counting it as top 10 anyways. That is it for all of the mocks this week. Now it is time for fan mocks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, if you want to submit your own fan mock creations, check out the description below. Also, check out all the Flickrs linked in the description below. I always have more than 10 because there's always more than 10 awesome really builds that people are building throughout the week. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and now here are the fan mocks of the week. everybody. Hope you enjoyed that video. I just wanted to pop in really quick and say that we do have a web store, brickvault.toys, that sell instructions for super high quality MOCs that are built by incredibly talented designers. So that is the first link in the description below. And also there's other videos too. We've got other things if you want to watch that. All right, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.